Because I'm not going to make these observations anymore because I'm so frightened of being banned.
No one really thought that Ngannou was going to win that fight, but I will say he won that fight. Anthony Joshua's not got the talent, he's not as gifted as Wardley.
Careful, you'll be out of a WhatsApp group soon.
No, I'm definitely in the group, mate. Who's laughing over there? Joshua has his own strengths.
Welcome to Talk Boxing with Simon Jordan and Spencer Oliver. This is episode 46 on the digital version of the huge talkSPORT platform. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to keep watching the videos and leaving questions in the comment section below. But let's get on with this week's show. Spencer, where should we start? Should we talk about Jack Catterall's win against Jorge Linares? Should we talk about Moses Vittori? No, let's talk about our dear friend Tyson Fury. Yeah. Huge event, huge spectacle on the weekend, undeniable. Mm-hmm. Lots of questions come out of it. Let's start with your view on the events that unfolded on Saturday night with Tyson and Francis Ngannou.
Well, like you say, as an event, as a spectacle, it was phenomenal. I think the Saudis put on a great. It was like an Olympic ceremony opening, really. Mm. I think they went all out, sort of raised the bar in that sense.
Do you like pop concerts?
Huh?
Do you like pop concerts?
I do like pop concerts, only if I know who they are. That was a little bit like when I saw Eminem there. I thought he might have been playing, but is what it is.
The real Slim Shady.
Yeah. So as a spectacle, it was phenomenal. And let's get into the fight. Tyson Fury fights Ngannou. No one really thought that Ngannou was going to win that fight, but I will say he won that fight.
Yeah.
He won that fight. As close as you may see it, or whatever, subjective scoring on some of the rounds or whatever, the knockdown could have been the deciding factor, but I watched the fight 3 times. Firstly on the night when we was doing the watch along with Adam Catterall and Johnny Fisher. Yep. I was sitting there watching it and I'm thinking, was I getting caught up on how well Ngannou was doing to take away from who was really winning the fight? So I went home and watched it again the next morning. I had him winning by 2 rounds. Even when I was trying to get it closer than that, it was sort of like around 2 rounds difference in it. But Ngannou was the winner. I think that, and this is what really surprised me, Simon, was that we were looking at the fight saying, listen, Tyson Fury is the #1 heavyweight right now. He's the #1 heavyweight of the modern era. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt about that. Francis Ngannou, who's never had a fight before, is 37 years of age, coming into a different discipline. We looked at him in the build-up, you go, right, he don't look bad, he looks all right, but his feet are too slow, his hands are too slow. Fury's got a great boxing IQ, he'll control the space and he'll dominate the fight. He'll take away Ngannou's main strengths, which is his strength. He goes out there and straight away, Ngannou's controlling the space. Fury's one on the outside, which we expected, timing's out, doesn't look good, and then he starts reaching. But what Ngannou was doing and doing very well was, where he was controlling the space, but he was holding his feet and just shuffling forward, but he was forcing Fury, so he was out-thinking Fury. He was forcing Fury to come forward. Fury was making those fundamental mistakes, and Ngannou was using his timing to make up for the lack of speed. So as Fury was throwing his shots, Ngannou was shooting at the same time, and he was catching Fury, and that's what we saw in the 3rd round when he landed that left hook. Fury went down, and Fury just never seemed to get into the fight. And a lot of people will say, yes, he maybe underestimated him, did he undertrain, or whatever. I think that he definitely took his eye off the ball. I think that maybe he thought he only had to turn up to win. And all those factors will come into it. As much as they say, yeah, listen, we've seen interviews with Fury saying, no, I trained as hard as I could have, etc. But I know that Fury wouldn't approach the Usyk fight like that. His mindset would be different. And I know that from a fighter's point of view. Fury's got in there and he was, we saw the big build-up and what he was talking about, with the security he's had at the airport, etc., etc. And the whole occasion sort of, he allowed it to over...
You do realise that facts trump sentiment, and the facts have detailed, because obviously Fury and his camp are very big on facts. And the facts are that the fight's been scored in favour of Tyson Fury. And if you keep on suggesting that Ngannou won this fight, you're going to join the Jordan and Catterall gang.
Yeah.
Right? Which is that you're going to be persona non gratis and not part of the little clique that seems to have spent the last week spieling and regurgitating nonsense, because ultimately the fight was scored that Ngannou won it.
Absolutely. But me and 99% of the public, of the watching public, thought that Fury had lost that fight. And that is facts, you know. I know what I'm watching. Like I say, I watched it 3 times, Simon, because I thought I was caught up in the moment. I thought I couldn't believe what I was seeing after the knockdown. I'm thinking of the close rounds. Was I leaning towards Ngannou because I wasn't expecting him to be doing what he was doing in the ring? No, I went home, I watched it from a neutral, I watched it again, and there was only one winner for me.
Wasn't the summation of the fight, in its broadest terms, when I sent it to you on Sunday morning, and just so we're clear, if anyone is vaguely interested, I said I wasn't going to watch this fight. I went to a party, there was a cigar room, they had the fights on, and they thought I wanted to watch it. So I was like, no, I don't want to watch this shit. They put it on for you. I said, okay. And then I saw Moses Atuma, and I thought, well, actually, I want to watch the undercard. And then I would have been a bit petulant, and I'm quite capable of being petulant if I hadn't watched the Fury fight. But I thought the summation of it was that Fury was off, and Ngannou was just a little bit better than we thought he was going to be.
Yeah.
And that was about the long, short, and tall of it.
Yeah.
And I thought that the fight, there's a case for making it a draw. I did not think Tyson Fury won that fight.
Yeah.
But I think there was an argument to be had that a draw was an outcome that I could have lived with. I didn't think he won. So that means, by association, I didn't think Ngannou lost.
Yeah.
But
well,
Ngannou seems to have accepted that as a gimme. Maybe that's because he's so grateful for the paycheck that's come as a result of it.
Well, you see the interviews that Ngannou's done afterwards, and I think he's watched it back, and he's probably had time to think about it. The initial, I was surprised by his reaction, by the way, because I thought he would have kicked up a bit of his thing. But like you say, acceptance seemed to be a thing with him there, and he was like, well, I now know that I can compete in a boxing ring at this sort of level, and let's move on. Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, them sort of names he was talking about. But, you know, I think since then he's had time to think about it, he's reflected on it, he's looked at it and thought, no, I won that fight. And he did win the fight. You know, like you say, you said you could see, you know, a case
I can make a
case for a draw.
Yeah.
Well, I would struggle for that because, like I say, I watched it 3 times and I was trying to favour Fury at the second time I watched it, and I still couldn't see him coming out victorious. And as much as that may piss him off and his team off, the facts are the facts, that he went in there, and I don't think he was underprepared, but I think that mentally he wasn't prepared for what Ngannou was going to bring. And when you're into a fight and it starts going not your way and you get knocked down in the 3rd round, and then you've got to try and turn things around, you can see that Fury, there was a slight look of desperation at times with him, where he was throwing the shots, reaching to grab, and Ngannou's physical strength, I think he had a neck like a shock absorber, where he was taking the shots and just coming back. There was no effect. Fury was having no effect on him, and I think Ngannou was going into it.
I mean, do you think Fury believes he won? Because obviously we've got previous fights where the Josh Taylors of the world have been doubling down against Jack Catterall, where, like you say, the bulk of the world think that Jack Catterall won that fight.
Yes.
And Josh Taylor gets challenged on that, he gets nasty, and he doesn't want to talk to anybody anymore, in this instance, me. And Tyson Fury thinks he won that fight. Do you think Tyson genuinely believes he won that fight?
Well, from what he's been saying and looking at his body language and whatnot, I think he does believe that he won the fight. I think he believes it was a close fight, and I think he actually believes, he won that fight. But speaking as a fighter, an ex-fighter, and looking at it, I go, you sort of know whether you won the fight or whether it's close. In my eyes, he didn't win that fight. And I'm not on my own here, and I'm not just saying that. Like, I'm with 99% of the boxing fraternity and the public. So
did you watch it? When I watched it, I mean, I've listened to him, and I've listened to a lot of nonsense this week, and disappointing nonsense, and some of my own observations, my ad hominems about child and things like that, I think I could have done better on, right? But notwithstanding, I think the overriding message is that I expected better, and I'm disappointed by some of the observations, and people like Spencer Brown that have put my health into it. You know, not good.
Yeah, I agree.
But the point is this, is I watched Tyson Fury walk into that ring, and I thought to myself, this is a man that doesn't have the same intensity about anything he's doing in this ring. I watched him across the ring from Deontay Wilder, and it was like a demon had possessed his eyes. You know, he was looking at Wilder, you know, and there was murderous intent in his eyes.
The focus was there.
The focus was there, and whatever he was saying about you're going to get it, or whatever terminologies he used. In this instance, it seemed to be a completely different setup and a completely different feel about Tyson Fury. Now, that doesn't mean that I didn't think Tyson was going to win this fight.
Yeah.
When I watched him, I thought, it's Francis this, it's very relaxed, it's very easy on the ear, and very easy on the eye. And this doesn't feel to me like Tyson has got the intensity that some people were suggesting this fight may require.
Yeah.
Now, everybody's saying, and Frank Warren's saying, I told you that this was going to be this. None of them thought Ngannou was going to cause the problems, and none of them thought that Tyson was going to make quite a meal out of it as much as he did. And Frank can say now, I told you it was going to be competitive, but everybody, to a man, including Tyson Fury, thought this was going to be a doddle.
Absolutely. And that's a classic example of every time a fighter approaches a fight, he's got to have that challenger's mindset where, like you say, where he's the underdog. He's got to be totally focused. Tyson Fury didn't have that. I'm with you, as in, he did the same intensity wasn't there. Like when he was up on the stage, he was playing the music, he was jogging around the stage, and like I say, it looked like he was going into an exhibition.
It did.
A lot of people thought that was an exhibition, but it actually wasn't. It was sanctioned by the British Boxing Board Control.
Oh yeah.
An official 10-rounder, and he had to go in there and do the job. And I think it was the surprise element of it. I think he went out there, he let the big right hand go, something that he doesn't normally do anyway. He normally goes out there and feels his way in. Tyson Fury's boxing IQ is leagues above every other heavyweight. He works fighters out, and that's where his big advantages are. He got out-fought here, as in out-fought and out-fought. In both departments, which really, really, really surprised me. Just shows, and you can't take anything away from Ngannou for that, because I think that tactically Ngannou got it spot on. Like I say, he was holding his feet, he was waiting, he recognised that speed wasn't on his side, he was waiting and he was delivering as Fury was throwing the shots.
But wasn't that more to do with just where Tyson was in this fight?
But
we're elevating Ngannou because everybody gave him, all of us included, because that's what it should have been.
Yeah.
That's what it should have been. And I made the observation, and I said on Monday, look, I think Tyson Fury thought this was a doddle. I think this is a sports entertainment. I think it's Disneyfication, and I don't think it was meant to be a competitive fight in certain respects, albeit, so Frank wanted to be, hold on you, got quite cross with me, stop peddling that narrative. It was a competitive fight, so okay, I'll repackage the narrative, right? Then this is arguably the greatest heavyweight of our generation, right? Potentially being beaten by a 37-year-old that hasn't fought for 2 years, with a bad knee that's been rebuilt in a discipline that he's never fought in before, making his debut on the world stage. Is that a better narrative for you, Frank? And Frank's like, that's not a good narrative either.
Yeah, we could be talking about now, and we very well could be talking about right now, is that we've just witnessed the biggest upset in boxing history with what happened there. It's just that the scores didn't go Ngannou's way. But that's the conversation that we should be really having in my eyes.
Do you smell anything? Does it smell of anything? Does it smell of anything? I'm asking you, because I'm not going to make these observations anymore, because I'm so frightened of being banned. Do you feel that that's a contrived outcome because there's too much on the line here?
Look, one thing we can guarantee, the Tyson Fury we got there, you wouldn't get against Alexander Usyk.
I agree.
The question I want to ask you, actually, Simon, you'll know this better than most, because you speak to Frank all the time. Tyson Fury said in the build-up to that fight, I've signed the contract contracts have been signed, whatever happens. Alexander Usyk, thinking that Usyk wouldn't be ready for the 23rd through injuries from the last fight that he had with Daniel Dubois. Contracts are signed. If you don't fight on December the 23rd, I'll sue you, I'll see you in court. So what happens now? Because I'm hearing that Fury now, Usyk does want that fight on the 23rd, and Fury wants to delay it to the new year.
That is what Usyk's management said the other day, which is you can't trust what Tyson Fury said.
Yeah, but have contracts been signed?
So let me go back to the question and the understanding of it. Frank, we have to go on what other people have said. Right? Because there's a lot of people suggesting, if you and I are not in the room, right, we don't know what's on that contract. If you and I haven't seen a copy of that contract, so we have to go on what other people have said, right, so that people are clear on this. What Frank Warner said is a contract's been signed. He's never said that inside that contract was it contingent upon a date. What he said was that this contract was based upon it being inside the Riyadh season, which means it runs from where we saw the opening this weekend up to, I believe, the beginning of the middle of March, right? Yeah. So I'm not really bothered with the fight on the December the 23rd. And I don't know why Tyson Fury wants to make it again an ultimatum where he creates division. Now, I suspect it's because the backstory is that Tyson wants to control the direction. And I did almost cringe, and my bum did almost go, you couldn't get an American Express card between the cheeks of my arse when I'm listening to Frank going, he's the boss, right? But we all got to operate the way we want to. But the irony of Frank now saying that Tyson can't be expected to fight
what is the reason behind
Usyk on December the 23rd, when they were making the same argument that Anthony Joshua should be prepared to fight Tyson Fury at the end of November, or the 7th of December was the drop-dead date, which was 2 months after he'd fought Alexander Usyk in a rematch that took so much out of Joshua. You know, and I think the Joshua camp are falling over themselves at the moment in time, thinking, is Simon praising Anthony recently? But you've got to call it for what it is. Let's have it right.
Did you see Eddie Hearn's comments, actually, calling for the Ngannou-Anthony Joshua fight.
Yeah, I mean,
the rumble in the jungle too.
I think that's interesting in terms of, look, I've touched the base with a couple of the guys inside Anthony's camp to say, you're not going to fight Ngannou, are you? Look, there's more reason for them to make this fight. Eddie talks about the fact that they were having this opportunity 6 months ago, and in fairness to Anthony Joshua, he turned around and went, I don't want that fight, it's a gimmick. Now, what I would say is it's laughable that the WBC are now going to suggest that they can put Ngannou inside the top 10, right? I don't know what
I believe they're ranking him.
That's my point.
Yeah.
That's my point, because then if you're fighting a top 10 fighter, all of a sudden it gives you legitimacy in this instance. Fabulous for Francis Ngannou. Fabulous backstory, you know, really decent human being that deserved to get 1/6 of what Tyson Fury got out of this fight. And in your book, the winner of that fight. And he deserves to get other opportunities.
Do you not think he won that fight though? Then?
I don't think he lost. Now that's not me sitting on a fence. That's me saying I can make a case for the draw.
Right.
Because I'm looking at it and going, I think that the fight was so steeped in our mindsets of what we were watching unfold in front of us. He wasn't a patsy. He wasn't getting knocked out straight away.
Yeah.
There was more to it. He had dropped Tyson Fury. So all of a sudden, there wasn't that much going on in this fight. It wasn't ever going to win Fight of the Year.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at it, you're going, well, it's difficult to separate them because there isn't that much going on. Tyson started to pop away in the later rounds, and there was an element of look of desperation about him at times because he's realizing that he's not getting into his rhythm, he's not creating the impact that he wants. And the knockdown, like he says, it wasn't a jarring knockdown, it was a flash knockdown.
Yeah,
it was more about, Tyson Fury's been knocked down.
But it was a legitimate knockdown.
It was a legitimate knockdown.
You know, it goes down a 10-8 round. Look, for me, there was only one winner in the contest. Whether you know,
I believe in you know, and I've had an opportunity this week to write an article in the Mail about Tyson Fury, which I don't want to do because I'm tired of giving him attention. You know, he's had lots of attention this week. He's had lots of people blowing smoke up his backside. He's been telling us all about how the government should be doing more for him and how he shouldn't have to queue at airports and all that sort of stuff. So he's gotten carried away of himself.
Did you get that treatment?
No, I get the polar opposite. Don't let him on the plane. Don't let him back into Spain.
Do you turn left or right on the plane?
I believe.
Do you turn left or right on the plane?
I turn left.
Okay.
I believe that a lot of the reasons, because I was trying to work out last week, where's all this rancor coming from? Where's all this, you know, I know why the guys on the YouTube channels are doing it. And by the way, you are YouTube channels, and this is a major broadcaster. That's a digital extension, right? But I can't understand where it was coming from. And then I thought to myself, some of these observations that go back 6 or 7 months that we cleared up last week, because none of it's steeped in any substance, why are they getting so irritable about it now?
I don't understand that.
I think it's because the Saudis, like the Qataris, when the Qataris put on the World Cup, right, they were listening to a lot of the Western media, and they were listening to hear what was being said. And when I was talking about going over to Qatar, I was talking about the Western culture not having the right to superimpose its own values over the Qatari principles, and who are we to judge the world? So when I get over there, Nasser Khelafi wants to be my mate, and all of a sudden we're getting access. And I didn't say it for that reason. Right?
Yeah.
I think they watch the Western media. I think the Saudis are watching the Western media saying, what's happening with this? And you've got the Western media, me and other people far more important than me, sort of pissing on this Ngannou fight, saying it's a fight. It's not going to happen the way it should happen in terms of Fury should be fighting for in a boxing ring, and Ngannou's going to get blown over. And I think the Saudis were not liking that, and that's the reasons why you got the announcement about the Usyk fight, and that's why you've got the deflection from the Fury camp about who said what, when, and why.
Makes sense.
And all the guys that are running around with the boxing, the social media guys running around saying, "Did you hear what such and such said?"
Well, the insane thing about the whole of that was the media for their first 3 or 4 days out there weren't about the Ngannou Tyson Fury fight. It was about Simon Jordan, talkSPORT, the narrative.
Yeah, it's silly.
And the wrong facts, by the way. We're talking about facts all the time. They're talking about facts. You were saying they missed the word "if" out. They missed the word "if," which was a huge word in the sentence.
Well, Adam Cattrall, as you know, did a brilliant piece on Saturday night.
Team Fury are a little disgruntled with 2 individuals that are connected to talkSPORT. One of those individuals is me. Tyson Fury claims to be the greatest heavyweight of our generation. His team profess that he is the greatest heavyweight of our generation. As of many of the fan base that follow the sport, they will say the exact same thing. My question is, how do you come to that conclusion? If it's just eye test, fair enough. I think a lot of people would agree with that. But for me, when you're talking about greatness, you've got to have numbers, facts and figures to be able to back up your argument. Now, here's my argument to counter you being upset with me. Tyson Fury has only been in 6 world title fights. He's had 34 professional bouts, 6 of them world title fights. 3 have come against the same bloke. He's defended the title on 3 occasions, twice against fellas that he's previously beaten. Tonight he fights someone that is making their professional boxing debut. There is a guy in his era that has had 12 heavyweight world title fights. He's defended on 7 separate occasions and has unified the division against another undefeated champion. I personally think that asking whether Fury is a myth or the proper fighting man is a myth at this particular time is absolutely relevant. I'm also confident that in time, he'll answer that question. But as of today, it's absolutely relevant because numbers do not lie. Journalism is about saying things that most people don't necessarily want you to say. Everything else is just PR. And we've witnessed that in absolute spade loads in Riyadh throughout the whole course of the week. Shills and PR merchants absolutely churning out ridiculous narratives, mainly against talkSPORT and my colleagues. All of a sudden, out of absolutely nowhere, we had a mythical date set by one man, Tyson Fury. Anthony Joshua's got till 5 o'clock on Monday to sign this contract. He didn't negotiate that with any of his team. He didn't tell any of his team, and you know that. He just came out on social media and said, 5 o'clock AJ, on Monday, sign that contract or it's off. Now, we've got a Netflix documentary which kind of solidifies this, At Home with the Furies. All the fight fans have watched it. Episode 7, deadline day for AJ. 29 minutes into the episode, this is what he said.
Robert, with less than 3 minutes to go, have we heard anything on the contract signed?
What George asked for, leave it till close of play tonight before midnight. So
No.
let's not say it.
5 o'clock's cut off. That's in 2 minutes.
Then it's not happening, but don't say anything, just keep quiet.
No, I want to absolutely rip him to pieces in 2 minutes.
Just leave it for now, Tyson. George is working hard to try and pull it all together. He said just give me until close of play tonight.
DJ! No signature! 5 o'clock!
Now, to me, my conclusions there are pretty conclusive. They're the actions of a man that did not want to fight Anthony Joshua. He was asked by his team, just give us a couple of minutes, give us a couple of hours, give us till the end of the day, we'll get this over the line. He decided not to do that.
The challenge for people like Spencer Brown and Shane Fury and even Tyson himself is if they're asked to come and support what they've said, they wouldn't dare do it in a debate because they can't, because they know the observations that they're making aren't true.
Yeah.
And they know that the reaction that they're giving isn't based upon any substance. So when Adam invites Spencer Brown to come on his show or to come on my show with Jim, right?
Yeah.
Or mine and Jim's show, you know they won't do it. They'll hide and they'll say, it's because we're not giving you clicks, right?
Yeah.
I don't need fucking clicks from Tyson Fury.
Yeah, sure.
I don't need... The subject matter is Tyson Fury because he is the WBC champion of the world and he's fighting that week. And when he doesn't sign a fight to fight Usyk, it becomes a discussion point.
Yeah.
And I'm so disappointed in the weakness of some of these guys. Now maybe they're weaponising it and maybe it's just clicks for them too and maybe they think it's interesting commentary. And I certainly know that the social media guys, whether it's Coogan Cassius or it's the other fellas that run the different platforms, are all taking content and utilising it and turning it into whatever they want. My overriding perspective is Tyson Fury doesn't have to have a relationship with anybody that he doesn't want one. If he doesn't believe that talkSPORT have been fair and he doesn't believe that they've supported him in a view, that's up to him.
Yeah.
I think he knows it's wrong.
Sure.
I think that if he looks at the criticism, did he bet Piers Morgan £1 million? Did he bet Piers Morgan £1 million? The answer is yes, he did. Did he pay it? No, he didn't. Did he say he was going to have 10 fights and he was going to make Jerry Chisora at the very back of the pile? Has he done that? Did he say he was going to do this? And all of these things have resulted in a strange sort of scenario, which is disappointing. But look, we've given Tyson a lot of airtime. He didn't want any of it. He's lucky to have got away with the result on the weekend.
Yeah.
I still think, like you, that when he gets a chance to fight Usyk, we will see the Tyson Fury that you and I believe is the generational best heavyweights. And I hope along the way, he gets to become a better person as well.
Just quickly,
Different discussion.
do you think that this this opens up the floodgates now more so for crossover fights? Do you think that we're going to see that a lot more with Francis Ngannou, possibly with Anthony Joshua?
Depends what you...
Francis Ngannou, Deontay Wilder talking about going into the MMA ring.
Depends what you think it is.
Does it dilute boxing?
I think it's sports entertainment.
Yeah.
And I think the way that sports is going at this moment in time is on a different level, and there's a different way of looking at it, and the sports entertainment side of things and the Disneyfication has a place. Do I think it does anything for boxing? Not particularly.
Do I think it's got a home?
I think it's got a home.
I do as well.
And I think that, whether I like it or I don't like it, I think you've got to grow up and read the room and smell the coffee, because it's the way that it's going, and the Saudis have got a style and a way of doing things, and that has its benefits. But look...
A changing of the times.
It's a changing of the times.
Yeah.
I thought there was some really good fights on the undercard, and I thought the build-up to the grudge match between Fabio Wardley
and
David Adeleye.
Yeah.
I think the build-up was slightly better than the fight, but I thought Fabio Wardley did very well.
Do you know what? I enjoyed the fight.
So did I.
I actually, because I knew where it was. Fabio Wardley was sort of proven in the Nathan Gorman fight. I think he proved that he sort of belongs at that sort of level.
Yep.
David Adeleye hadn't really done that. There was a lot of talk beforehand. Adeleye trying to get in Wardley's head.
Yep.
Wardley played it smart. He didn't bite. He didn't rise to the occasion. He played it smart. And I think that worked against David Adeleye. And he played right up until the first bell went. He was trying to get in there, talking the talk. And he didn't walk the walk. I think he tried to deliver. He went out there. He started gassing by about the 6th round. But what Fabio Wardley done so well was it was educated pressure. He controlled the space of the ring. I think he showed great composure. He went in there. He didn't get carried away. Like Adeleye tried to he was boxing on the back foot, trying to let the big bombs go. And I think he slowly chipped away Wardley. And he showed us that actually he does belong there. He's a good fighter, a lot better than people give him credit for. He's one to keep your eye on, Fabio Wardley, because I think that he's improving all the time. And what impresses me more about Wardley is the way that he reacts when he gets caught or when he gets hit. He turns a screw, he goes back again, and that's an important ingredient for a good fighter.
Well, you saw that with, not comparing the quality of fighters, but you saw that with Beterbiev versus Yard. When Yard started turning the screw, boom. Beterbiev came back. And I saw... No, I'm not comparing the two fighters because different weight classes and different levels. You understand the analogy.
Yeah.
And I looked at Fabio Wardley and I thought to myself, okay, you are a lot better than I thought you were. And I'm not entirely sure David Adeleye brought it as he said he was going to do, and I'm not sure he was technically good enough.
He boxes like that, Adeleye. He does box on the back foot, and he's very heavy-handed, and he looks to quick counters and goes for the shots. I've known him since he's an amateur, Adeleye. It was just that he hadn't been proven or tested at that level, and he blew a gasket after 6 rounds. And that tells you that Wardley was going through the gears and Adeleye was operating at top gears from early. Yeah. And that's why that was the difference. And that's the difference when you go into 12-round fights.
You can't help but do this, and it's always a slightly unfair thing to do because you should take things in isolation. But I looked at Wardley and I looked at Fraser Clarke's performance against Dave Allen, and I thought, without being mean-spirited, I thought there's perhaps a good reason why Fraser shouldn't have taken that fight and didn't take that fight. And I know Ben Shalom's talked about him needing to have more rounds and fight longer distance, a longer duration of fights. But Fabio Wardley would give Fraser Clarke
he would start a huge underdog, Fraser Clarke, going into that fight. And the reason that he would start a big underdog is because I think that Fabio Wardley is one of those fighters. He's sort of like educated pressure. He puts his punches together. Well, he's got great boxing IQ. He slips shots, he sets traps, and he puts the punches together. Fraser Clarke's shown us nothing yet, apart from boxing very one-paced, and at that level is not good enough, And I think that that's what we was looking at when, who did he box? Marius Wack. When he boxed Marius Wack, you looked at that and you go, Wack was perfect for him, that he could have just chipped away, picked up the gears, gone through the gears a little bit, but he didn't. He played it safe. It was simple 1-2s and whatnot. That's not enough at this sort of level. And I think that Wardley is, out of that young pack that's coming through, I think that Wardley's the one that is the most improved.
Youngish.
Youngish. No, sorry, the pack below top tier. I'll take the age thing out of it. The pack before that, I think that Wardley's the one that is starting to come through.
You think
starting to shine.
You think his lack of amateur career will play into anything?
No, I don't, because I just think that he's that fighter that's learning, he's developing on the job, and you go,
why do you make such a big deal out of lack of amateur career when it's Anthony Joshua, and you make a small deal about it when it's...
Well, I'm not making a
Fabio
small
Wardley?
deal out of it. I'm saying that I'm not making a small deal out of it. I said I don't think it's going to affect him moving up, because I think he's just one of those fighters that is very naturally talented. Anthony Joshua's not got the talent, he's not as gifted as Wardley, as in Joshua's very strong. That's where he's...
Careful, you'll be out of a WhatsApp group soon.
No, I'm definitely in the group, mate. Joshua has his own strengths. Who's laughing over there? Joshua has his own strengths, but what I'm saying is Wardley, his boxing IQ is great, and I think that, you know, he's naturally gifted, and I think that that's going to, it's going to push him on.
What did you make of Adelaye's behaviour? I mean, obviously sticking his tongue out is one part of it when he's in trouble, but clearly I'm referring to a situation with the referee.
Yeah, I think it was heat of the moment stuff.
But he's going to get himself in trouble, isn't
he? Yeah, first loss, heat of the moment stuff, stupid. And I think if he'll look back on that, it was like, you know, like he's been talking the talk.
He's going to get a ban, isn't he?
And he will get a fine. I don't think
you don't think he'll get a suspension?
No, because I don't think it was bad enough. It was sort of like...
What, you give the referee a dig in the ribs?
Well, yeah, it was not. It was like, it's nothing more than I hit you with when we walk into the room.
Yeah, but that's my knee. You're hitting my knee because that's all you can reach. Right?
Yeah, no, I think he'll get a fine. I think he'll get a slap on the wrist and a fine, if I'm totally honest. I mean, it was him being stupid and the heat of the moment stuff. I think that with him getting stopped, it's a fighter's mentality. But the referee done a great job there, by the way. That stoppage was timed absolutely perfectly because Wardley was picking it up.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Great stoppage.
I mean,
Pride got in the way of Adeleye there.
Yeah, you raved about Moses Atuma, and I've only seen a little bit of him, and I saw him on Saturday night, and I thought to myself, this is a boy that carries the same sort of menace and bad intentions as people in previous incarnations that went on to terrify the living shit out of heavyweights in obviously Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting you can compare them at this stage, but he has that in his mind's eye. He wants to be the youngest heavyweight champion in the world. He exhibits in this fight, certainly, the same sort of characteristics as Mike Tyson did, which was letting his hands go, getting in range really quick, and having really bad intentions.
Absolutely.
And I was really, really, really impressed by him.
He ticks all the boxes, don't he?
Yeah,
I
he
told
does,
you,
doesn't
like,
he? Yeah,
this
you're
kid
right.
is the real deal.
Yeah.
He really is, and I know that because I know the gym rumours and I know what he does in the gym with all the top heavyweights and the way he handles himself, conducts himself. He's a lovely guy outside the ropes as well. And I just think that he's got that spiteful intention that is needed to take you to the top. But along with that, you know, he's got great head movement, good speed of hand, and he went in there and he done a job. Yeah. You know, he done a job there on a big stage as well for an 18-year-old kid. Yeah, has a lot of pressure to handle. Didn't phase him at all. So he ticks all the boxes at the moment, and I like I say to you, I think he's the next heavyweight.
Does he smell like the next?
Absolutely.
Sort of one? Yeah,
he's the one that takes the baton from this current crop of heavyweights right now.
You think it's very important for him what is done with the matchmaking? I mean, obviously, Uncle Frank will take care of that, and Frank is very good.
Frank's
at
the best
matchmaking.
At matchmaking.
Yeah.
He develops fighters. You know, I've done it so many times before, but when you use Ricky Hatton as an example in boxing for the British title in his 25th fight, is because he recognised the talent that Hatton had, but Hatton turned young like that, young like that as well, 18 years of age, I think, and they just let him grow, develop.
Can you see Moses getting an opportunity? I mean, given the landscape of the heavyweight division, can you see him getting an opportunity to fight for a world title that does achieve? I mean, yes, he's going to get that shot if he keeps on building up and getting the level of enhancement into his skill set. But do you see him having the timelines, given what we're seeing in the heavyweight division, that he'll get an opportunity in that timelines in the next 2 years, I suggest?
Absolutely. Yeah, well, I don't think it'll be 2 years anyway. I think with Moses and Sama, I reckon it's like
we're going to duck him, aren't they?
A 3-year plan, and I just believe that current crop of heavyweights that are there now will be gone then. What's Deontay Wilder's nearly, nearly 40 years of age, isn't he? Anthony Joshua's 33, but where's he got another 3 years? There, same as Tyson Fury.
Isn't it?
So look, I think that, like I say to you, I think it's all about timing. He needs time to develop more. But I think the difficult job for Frank Warren and the team is going to be actually holding him back. You know,
or getting people to want to fight him.
Absolutely, it's going to cost old Uncle Frank a few quid, I think.
We know how much he likes that. Right, that's it for this week's episode 46. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Of course, if you're Tyson Fury, don't bother. And we'll see you next week.